Warriors' new star. Golden State displaying its hospitality, welcoming seven-time All-Star Kevin Durant to the family with this banner you see hanging high above the very arena where Durant's Thunder were eliminated from the postseason a little over a month ago. Kevin Durant becoming one of the faces of the Golden State franchise, officially joining the team responsible, as I said, for eliminating his former team. He led the Thunder to 4 conference finals appearances, 1 NBA finals appearance. Durant today sharing how he broke the news to his family.
The night before 4th of July, you know, we were talking and I was just torn, and I told him I wanted to sleep on it. And when I woke up about 7 o'clock in the morning, and I walked in their rooms. They were all asleep, and I woke them up, and I just said, I want to go to the Warriors. And we all gave each other hugs, and you know, we moved on from there. We knew all this, you know, a lot of attention was going to come with it, but we just stuck to what I wanted to do, and you know, we moved on. And that call to Oklahoma City was the hardest thing I ever had to do in my life, and you know, tears were shed, you know, but this is, like I said, is a new journey for me. It's testing the unknown, and I trusted my gut, I trusted my instincts, and it's an unpopular decision, but you know, I can live with it. You know, we live in this superhero comic book world where, you know, either you're a villain or you're a superhero if you're up at in this position, and I know that, and I know I haven't changed as a person. I don't treat people any differently because I made a decision to play basketball in another city. And I understand the fans in Oklahoma City and everybody, basketball fans around the world, are, I guess, upset. But like I said, I made a decision based upon what I wanted to do and how I felt. And, you know, it's the best decision for me. So I can't really control how you feel. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I'm going to continue to live my life, man. Life goes on, and, you know, I got a short amount of time left to play basketball. I just want to enjoy every single day of it.
Kevin, have you had a chance to talk to Russell Westbrook yet? And also, what could you say about where that relationship truly was at the end of your tenure there?
Yeah, I talked to him. Obviously, it was tough. You know, we were teammates for so long and had a lot of great memories. And, you know, I'm sure he wasn't happy about the decision, but he respected it as my friend. And the relationship was great. You know, we had great years, man. It's something that you'll never take away from us. But like I said, I wanted a new chapter in my life. I felt like it was time for it, and I made this decision. And like I couldn't consider totally everybody's feelings at this point because it'd be hard to. So I just tried to, you know, focus on me, but also realize the relationships that I had. I still wanted those to be. I'm sure they won't be the same, but I still wanted to go out there and leave with some class and some dignity, and, you know, but hopefully I did. Hopefully he understands, and I'm sure we'll talk again.
Stephen A. Smith joins me now. And Stephen A., we just heard Durant in his own words on his decision to join Golden State. He says it's an unpopular decision. He knows it, but he went with his gut. What do you think of what he had to say?
Well, I thought he handled it the way he usually handles things, with a lot of class. He said all the right things, and I'm quite sure he was sincere in everything that he had to say. It was a difficult decision because he's not the kind of guy that just wants to cut and run and leave the Oklahoma City Thunder. You know where my stance is, but the difference between my stance and that of those like Charles Barkley, Reggie Miller, and many, many others, there are a lot of people lamenting the fact that he left Oklahoma City. I don't have a problem with that. You've been there. You were there for 9 years. You were a superstar in this league. You established yourself as one of the top 3 players in the game. Your average career 27.4 points per game. You took them to an NBA Finals. You did a lot more good than bad for that franchise. You owe them nothing. Not to mention the fact that they let go of James Harden, let go of Reggie Jackson, let go of Serge Ibaka and others. So ultimately, you can't blame Kevin Durant for making the decision that's best for him. My only issue was that he ended up with the team that he lost to. That's like Dr. J deciding I can't beat the Boston Celtics, so let me go join them. Or Isaiah Thomas doing the same when Boston was beating the Detroit Pistons. Or Michael Jordan doing the same when Detroit was beating him and deciding that he wants to be a Piston. That was my trepidation, the fact that he went to a team that beat him. But as far as I'm concerned, that's the only trepidation anybody should have. Outside of that, there was nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with his decision. He's perfectly entitled to do what he chose, and now the pressure's on him because obviously when you assemble a crew of this magnitude, you had damn well better win the championship because anything less is unsatisfactory.
But you heard him. I mean, he said that he doesn't have many years left, right? That's why he made the decision, even though it might be unpopular, right?
No, listen.
What?
Listen, I don't know. Maybe Jay-Z or somebody put that in his head. Kevin Durant, I'm sorry, how old is Kevin Durant? I mean, Kevin, what is he, 28 years old? I mean, please, Kevin Durant, and not only that, he's not just that age. He's not even 30 yet, but he's 6'10" with a 7'6" wingspan with a handle who can pull up from 30 and is universally recognized as one of the top 3 players on the planet. Kevin Durant has at least 10 years left on his career. I'm not calling him a liar or disingenuous or anything like that when he makes that, but when he makes that kind of a statement like, I don't have but so much time left, just stop it. He's got plenty of time left.
All right, how do you see this playing out on the court, Stephen A?
Well, they're the favorites. Is it a lock that they'll win the championship? No. San Antonio having Pau Gasol, that was a big time pickup. Now, Golden State's still a favorite, but they got to play an A game in order to beat San Antonio because if Tim Duncan decides to come back with Manu Ginobili already having decided to come back with Kawhi Leonard there and LaMarcus Aldridge needing to make amends for his no-show basically over the last 3 or 4 games of that semifinal series, I definitely think that San Antonio is going to be formidable. When you look at the Eastern Conference, of course, it's all about Cleveland and LeBron James and the crew. And when you've got somebody like Tristan Thompson dominating the boards and giving you opportunities in terms of his rebounding prowess, that's going to put more pressure on Golden State to be effective. They are clearly the favorites to win the championship, as well they should be. But it's not like they can bring a C or a B game to the equation and it's still a foregone conclusion they'll win the championship. They're going to have to show up and perform in order to get the job done because there are at least 2 teams in the NBA, that being the San Antonio Spurs and the Cleveland Cavaliers, who still hold out the potential to have something to say about that.
Okay, so what do you think happens with Russell Westbrook in Oklahoma City? Do you believe he starts the season as a member of the Thunder?
It's hard to say. It depends on what offers Presti will get, but there's no question that Russell Westbrook is going to get traded. Presti is not stupid. You can't lose 2 superstars, 2 of the top 5 players in the game, and get absolutely no compensation whatsoever. Keep in mind that Kevin Durant leaving is just a devastating blow to Oklahoma City because they got nothing in return for him. He just signed as a free agent and went elsewhere. You can't let the same thing happen with a Russell Westbrook. So since Russell Westbrook hasn't signed an extension, doesn't intend on signing an extension, if you're Sam Presti, you have to let him go. You have to move him and get equitable compensation for his services. In order to do that, it's all contingent on what kind of deals you can manufacture. Whether that's going to happen in August or February before the trading deadline remains to be seen. But I don't believe there's any way on earth that Russell Westbrook will finish next season in Oklahoma City unless a miracle happens and he decides to sign a long-term extension. If he doesn't do that, Sam Presti is fully aware that he cannot wait for Russell Westbrook to decide next summer and risk losing him for absolutely nothing to wait the way he lost Kevin Durant. That cannot happen. Kevin Durant has changed everything, not just for himself going to Golden State, not just for the power landscape in the NBA, but also as it pertains to Russell Westbrook's future in Oklahoma City. Because Kevin Durant leaving and OKC getting nothing in return, they cannot allow that to happen with Russell Westbrook. He will be traded.
Those dominoes, they fall. That must be so difficult for Presti. All right, Stephen A., if Durant to the Warriors, if that was a surprise, I would say Dwayne Wade to the Bulls was a shock. Wade making the announcement last night that he has chosen to accept the Bulls' offer. That offer, 2-year deal worth about $47 million. Wade leaves after 13 seasons in Miami that included 3 championships. Wade talked about his decision this morning while he co-hosted Live with Kelly. Stephen A., what do you know about how this went down and what happened to make Wade make this decision?
Well, I don't mean to sound braggadocious, but I know everything about what went down, practically everything. I mean, if you take into account the things that Dwayne Wade has been feeling, it's not just that he and I spoke last night, Lindsay. He and I have spoken about this on several occasions over the last year and a half. He's had a real problem with how he felt he was being treated by Pat Riley since LeBron James' departure. When LeBron James departed, if you recall, a couple of years ago, Dwayne Wade met him in Miami. They met in Vegas again. Pat Riley and the Miami Heat were under the impression that Dwayne Wade had to know something about what transpired in terms of what LeBron James' intent was. Dwayne Wade swore that he didn't know. He didn't tell Miami anything. That kind of rubbed them the wrong way. Then you had his negotiations last summer when they came to him with a one-year deal. It really was 2 years where they wanted him to take $10 million this year. That wasn't flying with him. He took a one-year, $20 million deal, and the situation was what it was. He was willing to go out there and prove himself, which is exactly what he did. But in the process of doing so, they also gave Chris Bosh $118 million when Chris Bosh couldn't get more than 88 from anybody else. Chris Bosh got the max offer from Houston, which was $88 million at the time. His agent, Henry Thomas, was also Dwayne Wade's agent, goes to the Miami Heat and says, well, you willing to give Chris Bosh the max? 30 minutes later, they called him back and said, yes, we'll give him the whole $118 million. Dwayne Wade is thinking about that $30 million difference and saying, wait a minute, I could have got some of that dollars. And then this year comes around, and here's a guy by the name of Hassan Whiteside, who was late to practice about 41 times last year, by the way. He signs for the max 4-year, $98 million deal, but they were willing to shove aside $4 million to make it work to get Kevin Durant. Well, once Kevin Durant decided that he was going to Golden State, D. Wade is like, what is that? Where's that $4 million for me? And Miami wasn't willing to budge. So when you couple all of that, combined with Dan Le Batard's article just the other day, where Dwayne Wade felt like that came straight from the Miami Heat, he said he was done. He was fed up. He was totally disgusted, felt disrespected, minimized, and underappreciated. And it was something that he was hell-bent on not taking any longer. So when you look at the fact that in Florida there's a no state income tax, and Miami offers you $41.5 million, and Chicago, that doesn't, with Illinois, that does have a state income tax, they give you $47 million. It's really not that much of a difference. Therefore, it wasn't about the money. It was about the fact that he felt a guy by the name of Pat Riley, who's the winner within and a champion multiple times over, did not show him the respect and courtesy that Dwayne Wade felt he deserved. He felt completely shoved aside and dismissed by Pat Riley. And his words were, he's over it. He's done. He's going to where he thought about going in 2010, which is to his hometown Chicago Bulls. And it's that simple. That's what happened. This is about him not feeling appreciated by Pat Riley.
Where does this leave Pat Riley? And how surprised do you think he is by this move?
Well, I think he's shocked. I think he's devastated. I think he's incredibly saddened. But at the same time, Dwayne Wade and others around the league have been noticing Pat Riley talk about Dwayne Wade in the past tense all morning, dating back to last night when the news came down. I loved him. He meant this. You know, blah, blah, blah. Past tense. Because Pat Riley has a tendency to move forward in that way. I think that he's a great executive. I think that he was a great coach and he's a champion. At the same time, there's no getting around the fact that the great Pat Riley looks pretty bad over the last couple of years. You have lost LeBron James. You missed out in the Kevin Durant sweepstakes. Chris Bosh right now has some trepidation about you because of what he believes the organization is doing to keep him off the court because of his ailment, even though most people understand that Miami's looking out for his best interest as well as themselves, and they don't really have a problem with it. And then on top of it all, Dwayne Wade walks out the door. So you're looking at a situation where you find yourself asking this question: what happened to the Pat Riley that knew how to do whatever it took to get it done? You could have massaged LeBron James just a little bit, do a little bit more perks his way, not be so come across with such defiance about how this is your shop, not his. Dwayne Wade, you could have worked with him a little bit better monetarily because you knew that was what he wanted after sacrificing in excess of $25 million over the years. Pat Riley's not totally wrong. He's certainly not a villain by any stretch of the imagination, Lindsay, but considering the fact that he's the winner within, you do expect more from him. You expect the man to close the deal and somehow get it done in the best interest of the franchise. And for the second, if not third consecutive year, Pat Riley has been unable to do that. out LeBron James, out D-Wade. Kevin Durant never came, and Chris Bosh might not want to be there. It depends on how he's being treated. Pat Riley does not look very, very good right now.
You're right. You expect him to figure out a way. Stephen A. Smith, thank you so much for joining us.